Most people use GLP-1 drugs as a weight loss tool. I think they are also a learning tool. The most remarkable thing people report on Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro is that their cravings disappear and the food noise goes quiet. They describe it as a switch is turned off. And it's amazing because for some people, this is the first time in decades when they don't feel controlled by food. But the thing is that this quiet is medication dependent. Research patient experiences show that when people stop taking the medication, the cravings and the food noise come back and they gain about 2/3 of the weight they lost within 1 year. What I find interesting is that there is a small percentage of people who don't gain the weight back, and the food noise, if it comes back, is quiet and manageable. And researchers and clinicians observed that the difference with these people is that they learned new coping skills, built new habits, and healed their relationship with food during the time when they were taking the medication. And this is what I want to talk about today, because if you are taking a GLP-1 medication right now, you are sitting in the biggest opportunity you will ever have to heal your relationship with food. I'm Rita May, and I help people outgrow their food issues such as emotional eating, binge eating, food obsession, and become the version of themselves who doesn't need food to cope. Across GLP-1 patient communities, two patterns keep showing up. Some people say that I'm not hungry, I get full quickly, but I still crave certain foods. Others say that I don't have any food noise anymore, but the emotional eating urges are still there. I still want to eat when I feel sad, angry, stressed, bored, or overwhelmed. And this shows that food struggles have multiple layers. There is a biological layer, the hunger, the real physical hunger, the appetite, and some of the reward signals. And there is also the emotional and habitual layer, using food to cope, to comfort yourself, using food for entertainment, using food to procrastinate, using food to escape difficult emotions, or simply the habit to snack on something while watching TV or go straight to the fridge when you get home. And the medication can turn down the biological layer, the hunger and the appetite, but it can't teach you new coping skills or rewire the habitual eating patterns. And this brings us to what I think is the biggest missed opportunity, because you either have these cravings and emotional eating urges now, or you will have them after stopping taking the medication, right? So what are you going to use this quieter or quiet period when you are taking the drug? Are you going to just simply eat as little as you can, or are you going to learn new skills? Because the people who tend to do best long term after the medication too are the people who don't just use this period to eat less, but they also learn. They use this quieter period to become the person who they want to be after taking the medication. There are 7 things that I suggest learning during this quieter period. But before I talk about them, tell me about your experience with GLP-1 medications. Have you ever tried it? Did it work? Did the food noise disappear? The cravings gone? Or they gone for a while, but then they came back? Or they never went away? Or did you have emotional eating urges during the time or after stopping? I'm really curious about your experience, so let me know in the comments below. So the first skill I suggest learning during this quieter period is to distinguish physical, real hunger from everything else. Because chronic dieters, and it used to be me too, chronic dieters don't just respond to physical hunger, they also respond to cravings, food rules, food noise, anxiety, stress, habits, and guilt, right? And the first time ever, because the drug suppresses your physical hunger, you can differentiate between your real hunger from everything else, right? The second skill I suggest learning during this quieter period is learning how to manage your emotions without turning to food. Notice the moments when you still want food, when you are not hungry anymore. What emotions are you trying to avoid? What are the feelings you are seeking? How does food make you feel? How could you feel that way without food? And how can you regulate yourself to a state when you are back in control? These are the skills you want to learn. The third thing that I suggest learning is discovering the thought patterns and beliefs that make you self-sabotage. Because quite often we do so well for a while, and then we don't understand why we suddenly self-sabotage our progress. And this happens because there are some thought patterns and beliefs that we are most often not even aware of, and they in the background make us self-sabotage. And I show you how to discover and shift these limiting beliefs and thought patterns in my Outgrown workbook. I will put the link in the description below for you so you can find these limiting beliefs. The fourth thing I suggest learning is how to overcome binge eating if you had this issue before taking the medication. Because as you could see, research and patient experiences show that when people stop taking the medication, the cravings, the urges, the food noise comes back. And also if you binge before, the binge eating comes back too. So I highly recommend sorting that out with a coach, either with me or with someone else, but you need to solve that problem. The fifth thing I suggest learning is how to build habits that survive even when motivation disappears or when you stop taking the drug and the biological effect disappears. Because if during this quieter period you learn new coping skills, a new relationship with food, new healthy recipes, new routines, new habits, and you practice them during this period for a long time, they become habits, and then they will be your automatic response and automatic reaction, even when you stop taking the medication. So building new habits and practicing them over and over until they become automatic. This is also a very useful skill to learn. And the sixth skill that you want to learn is learning to eat without dieting. Because in my opinion, this is not the time to see how little you can eat. This is actually the time to learn how you want to eat for the next 20 years after stopping the medication. Because if your current eating style only works when the drug suppresses your appetite, it will not work when you stop taking the medication. And it's probably also not a sustainable eating style, right? So yes, of course you want to lose weight, so you eat a bit less, right, than usual. But you also want to learn how to eat without a diet and eat regularly and sustainably, not just skip meals because you don't feel hungry and just eat as little as possible and lose the weight as fast as possible, because then your body will fight back and you will binge. You want to learn a nice sustainable eating style, and when the food noise is quiet and you have less cravings or no cravings, it's so much easier to build this eating style. And it's closely related to the seventh skill I suggest learning, which is learning to trust yourself. Because years of dieting results in a relationship with food when every eating is a very stressful situation. What should I eat? When should I eat? And this quieter period could be a really good time to practice eating normally. I think GLP-1 drugs teach us something fascinating. Many people thought for years or decades that they don't have discipline, but when they start taking the drug, it turns out that it actually has a biological component. It's not just discipline, but it also shows that even when this biological hunger is turned off, some cravings and urges still can remain. And that's where the deeper work is needed. And even if they disappear during taking the drug, but you had them before, they will return after you stop taking the drugs. So it's always better to do the deeper work and learn the skills that you need to eat normally again. So here is my question for you. If you are taking GLP-1 medication right now, or you are planning to take it in the future, are you going to use that period just to lose weight, or are you going to use that quieter period to actually learn the skills that you will need after the medication? Or you don't even need to take the medications if you learn these skills. And if you want to know what the more practical and also the deeper layers you need to change to reach this food freedom when you don't feel controlled by food and binge or emotionally eat or yo-yo diet or feel obsessed around food, I have a free resource for you. It's called Change Code, and it shows the 6 levels of change that you need to overcome these food issues. And if you want to do this work and solve your eating problems with my personal support, there is a link in the description where you can book a free discovery call, and then we will talk about your specific eating issues and then design a highly personalized solution for you. And then you can join my private program and get maximal support from me. But if you would like to join other women, there is an application also to join the waitlist for my group coaching program. And if you are on a GLP-1 drug now or you are considering taking it in the future, you probably want to lose weight. And to avoid the 4 mistakes that I made when I wanted to lose weight, watch this video next, because in this video I show you the 4 mistakes that stopped me from losing weight. See you soon.